There's this quiet economic revolution happening all around us, and it's changing the very idea of what it means to own something. And I'm not just talking about your Netflix account. This is a huge shift that's creeping into pretty much every corner of our lives.
You've probably heard this phrase before, right? It sounds like it was pulled straight out of some dystopian movie, a future where, personal property is just gone. But what if I told you this isn't some far-off prediction anymore?
It's actually starting to become our reality. Not because of some big government plan, but because of thousands of little corporate decisions that we agree to every single day, a lot of the time without even thinking about where it's all leading.
And this is where that big abstract idea comes crashing down into something very real and honestly kind of absurd. This is where it gets personal.
So, let's kick things off with one of the most unbelievable examples of this trend, something I like to call your car's ransomware.
Just think about the sheer nerve of this for a second. Imagine you go out, you buy a brand new car. You've paid for all the hardware, the heating coils, the wires, the button on the dashboard. It's all there. But then the company tells you, oh, you want to actually turn it on? That'll be a monthly fee. Well, that is exactly what BMW tried to do. And you can probably guess what happened. People were furious. It just feels wrong. You spend all that money on a luxury car, but you're stuck renting its most basic features. Now, BMW did end up backtracking in some places, but the idea didn't just disappear. The really crucial thing to get here is that this was a test. And you can bet other companies were watching very, very closely. But this whole idea, it didn't just pop up out of thin air. To really understand how we got to a point where companies think they can charge us to use our own car parts, we have to look at the industry that absolutely perfected this model, software. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. Remember this? You used to be able to buy a box with Adobe Photoshop for like $700, and boom, it was yours forever. You could use that thing for a decade if you wanted. Now, with Creative Cloud, you're paying over $50 every single month, and the second you stop paying, the software just locks up. You're cut off from your own work. Let's just look at the math here, because it's absolutely wild. Over a decade, that one-time purchase of about $700 turns into almost $6,600. You're paying nearly 10 times more for the privilege of never actually owning the tools you need to do your job. It's staggering. So you gotta ask, why would companies do this? Why would they push a model that's so obviously more expensive and frankly worse for us, the customers? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's all part of the corporate playbook. For these businesses, the subscription model is basically a gold mine. It gives them that steady, predictable revenue that Wall Street just loves. It also kind of plays a trick on our brains. A small monthly fee doesn't hurt as much as a big one-time purchase, right? So we sign up. And once you're in, you're locked in. It's hard to leave. You're not a one-time customer anymore. You're a lifelong ATM. And this leads us to a really important idea, digital serfdom. It's the state we find ourselves in where we just can't own our tools anymore. We basically become tenants on a company's digital land, and we have to pay them rent every single month just to get access to our own photos, our own documents, our own creations. The real danger in all of this is just how sneaky it is. One subscription by itself doesn't feel like a big deal, but when you add them all up, the effect on your finances can be absolutely devastating. It really is a death by 1,000 cuts. Let's take a look at how this all adds up. This is a pretty typical list, right? A little something for movies, some music, some cloud storage, maybe a productivity app. Individually, they all seem pretty cheap. But when you put them all together, the average person is easily spending almost $100 every single month.
So you take that $100 a month and stretch it out over 10 years, and you get over $11,000. Just think about that for a second. That's a down payment on a car, a serious chunk of an investment, a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but instead, it's just gone. Poof, all spent on temporary access with nothing to show for it in the end.
So if this trend just keeps going, what does our future actually look like? Well, we can make some pretty good guesses based on what companies are already trying to do.
In the pretty near future, your car could come with dozens of these little micro-subscriptions. Want to unlock faster acceleration? That'll be $30 a month. Need that fancy cruise control for a long road trip? Okay, that's a $20 add-out. And it's not going to stop at the garage. Your smart home could turn into a maze of paywalls. Want your thermostat to actually learn your schedule? $3 a month. Want your smart fridge to use its smart features? That's $5 a month. So you'll pay for the appliance, and then you'll have to keep paying just to use it properly.
And of course, our digital lives will get even more tangled and way more expensive. We'll be paying monthly fees just to access our own data, our own photos, and the basic tools we need to get by in the world today.
Okay. I know that all sounds pretty bleak, but here's the good news. This future is not set in stone. We actually have the power to push back, but it means we have to be really conscious and deliberate with our choices.
So here's a clear 5-step action plan. First, you gotta audit. Seriously, just list out all your subscriptions. You might be shocked. Second, actively choose ownership. Look for products you can buy once. Third, check out the free and open source alternatives. There are amazing ones. Fourth, and this is huge, vote with your wallet. Support the good companies. And finally, demand better. Let's advocate for things like consumer protection. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the kind of future you want to live in. This slide just shows you the two models right next to each other. On the left, you've got that predatory model, like Adobe. And on the right, you've got the ownership model, like a company called Affinity. With Affinity, you pay one time and that software is yours forever. It's a fundamentally more respectful way to treat your customers.
And Affinity isn't the only one. There are fantastic alternatives out there for almost everything. DaVinci Resolve is a pro video editor with an incredible free version. Obsidian is a note-taking app that lets you keep your data on your own computer. LibreOffice is a full, free alternative to Microsoft 365. Supporting these guys sends a really powerful message.
So I really just want to leave you with this one final thought. At the end of the day, this isn't really about saving a few bucks here and there. It's a much bigger question about control, about our autonomy, and about the future that we're all building together. In a world that desperately wants you to just rent everything, the real question is, what's the true cost of owning nothing?